Pearl, trapped on her family's isolated farm. Pearl must tend to her ailing father under the bitter and overbeating watch of her devout mother. Hoping for a more glamorous life, Pearl's ambitions, temptations, and repressions all collide to a horrific event. Directed by Ty West, obviously, it is the prequel to X, which again came out earlier this year. Mia Goth helped screenwrite this with Ty West. Mia Goth, obviously, in the penultimate role, right? That's the word. Pearl. So, George, what are your thoughts?
This is just like slowly becoming just like one of my favorite horror trilogies. I think I hold X a little higher than most people. I think it's a really solid entry to A24's horror, especially dipping into the slasher elements. What I love about Pearl and what I hopefully will love about Joker 2 is that it's not a carbon copy of X. This is, and anyone that has not seen the movie, Seth, directed right at you. This is not a slasher film. I'll tell you that right now. This is a deep character study about a woman just going through a lot of shit. And I fucking love that. It made for a lot of uncomfortable filmmaking, a lot of uncomfortable scenes of tension. You guys know how much I love me some uncomfortable horror. I also love that this is just Ty West just experimenting with everything, with his filmmaking techniques, with what he wants Mia Goth to do on screen, with his screenwriting. They gave him a camera. They say, make the movie you want to fucking make. Sorry for cursing again.
You're fine. I think we're past that at this point, man.
People listening getting really angry every time you do it.
We're screwed.
But yeah, I think Ty West is onto something really cool here. Did I love the movie? No, I have it at a 3.5 out of 5 stars. I do like X more because of the fact that it is through and through a slasher film. And trust me, we are no stranger to slashings in Pearl. She do be doing some slashings. She does kill some people, without a doubt. There's also and I want to just shout out Mia Goth. If the Oscars were today, she's getting a nomination. In my book, personally, I would nominate her. She has a 6-minute, this is no spoiler, Seth, so don't worry. She has this 6-minute or just about 6-minute monologue at the end of the movie. The camera is literally on her face for 6 minutes straight. There's not one cut. She runs through every single emotion a human being has. It is brilliant to watch. And then, Tyler, you posted on your story that end credit roll, where she's just staring at the screen. It's brilliant, and I love a good bit of horror. And I think Ty West and Mia Goth, because they are co-writing these movies, they're onto something awesome here.
Have you seen the reviews? Because what surprised me is that Pearl's got like a 3.9 on Letterboxd, whereas X had like a 3.6.
I know.
It's rare that you find that. It's very rare that you find that.
I think I'm in the minority, honestly, and liking X more than Pearl. I know a lot of our fellow creators are taking Pearl over X, but again, for me, it just comes down to the fact that Pearl is a character study. X is a full-on slasher, and I just loved that in X. I love just the gross nature of the slasher film. The entire second half was just Pearl in X, just going dummy, and I loved it. And that's not to take away from from Pearl, because, like I said, I love a good character study, and that's what Pearl gave me.
I think the high reviews for Pearl aren't that surprising, though, purely because X was so divisive. So there's a lot of people who hate X. So there's no reason they're going to see Pearl. So I feel like Pearl is purely people who enjoyed X going to see it.
That is a good point.
It's weeded out the people that hated Pearl or X dragging down. Pearl is just the fans of X going to see it. And kind of going off what George said, I'm a little opposite. I thought X was average to good. I put it at a 5.9 out of 10. And I loved Pearl. I gave it a 7.9 out of 10. I loved the character study. I thought X was a lot more art house, experimental editing, whereas Pearl, I didn't get that as much. I did feel like Pearl felt more rushed, not in terms of anything felt not done well enough, but in terms of it just seemed like a production that they wrote a quick screenplay, made the movie. But I loved it. I thought the story was more complete. I thought X was a little all over the place a bit. Didn't know if it wanted to be a character study or a slasher. And when X came out, we didn't know Pearl was coming out. So we couldn't say, oh, don't worry about Pearl's backstory. You're going to get a whole movie on that. So when you just purely watch X, you're kind of like, I don't know. Her motivations are a little wish-washy for me. They try and go down an avenue of explaining it, but Pearl, you get the whole background. I love the character study. Mia Goth, nothing more needs to be said. Absolutely incredible. Go ahead,
It'd be
Seth.
interesting if someone hasn't watched X and they could watch Pearl prior
first,
and actually
yeah.
see sort of how. Because I think I'll probably take the same stance as Tyler. I liked X. I think it was like a good film, like maybe like a 7 out of 10. I liked it a bit more than Tyler, but not as much as George. And I think by the sounds of it, I'd probably prefer Pearl. It just depends on your preference. But I think it'd be interesting to see people's opinions on X after they watch Pearl and see how much it really changes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that'd be really interesting actually.
Yeah, but as George touched on, it's not a slasher, but there's still slashings. I think the only thing that removes it from the slasher genre is the suspense really isn't there. There's not someone lurking that you're waiting for a kill. But in terms of pure killings, like I didn't tally them up, but I think it could honestly be similar numbers because X didn't have that many. Like
no, it's relatively similar.
Yeah, I loved it. Go ahead, Cam.
This is interesting because I don't know if this is why I hate the 5 out of 5 like ratings. I've gone off about it to you guys obviously.
Hate it as well.
I hate 5 out of 5. I love the out of 100. But that's just me tooting my own ranking system. But I have Pearl rated higher than George. And I'm okay with my I have it at an 80 out of 100. I like it more than X, so therefore it's a 4 out of 5 on Letterboxd. But I think I liked it about the same. I don't know. I go back to I hate the 5 out of 5 rating, but I think 80 is where I want it. So I have X at like a 77, so it's like 3i or whatever. Doesn't matter. I do like it more. I don't. And then again, I don't know if I love Ty West. You guys say he was given creative freedom, right? I don't know if I love his editing style. It wasn't bad. It didn't take me out, obviously. I still really enjoyed this movie. I just don't know if I love it. Mia Goth's performance is really what takes this movie almost to another echelon, or I guess gets it that 4 out of 5. It's incredible. I like a character study. Tyler said, we do have some good slashes. So I think it found that nice middle ground. It probably is a little slow at the start, and that's where I drop it a little bit. But yeah, I did really enjoy it, and I'm not a horror guy. Tyler, I'm interested to know, is this something that scared you? You're less of a horror guy than me, we've found. So
yeah, so I
that's a hard thing to do.
Yeah, I'm not a big horror guy whatsoever, but I didn't find X or Pearl to be clocking in on my scares radar. I mean, X is clearly more suspenseful, as anyone will tell you that. Pearl not at all. 0 on the horror meter for me. You can go into it totally afraid of everything and not get scares. There's slashes in there, but again, like I said, X is scarier, quote unquote, because you have the tension building up to them. Whereas in Pearl, I feel like you're never really on the edge of your seat, which I'm not knocking it for it. I'm just trying to explain the differences of the movie. So yeah, it wasn't scary.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, and one thing I'll say is the movie's predominantly during the day, so I think
it makes a difference.
I think to make that truly terrifying, Midsummer obviously is predominantly during the day, and I think that movie is incredible. So I don't think this was nearly on that level.
Do you rate that higher? I didn't know you.
I have that at a 93, dude.
Really?
Yeah, I think Midsummer's insanely good. I have it higher than Hereditary by a good amount, by 10.
Me and George aren't gonna like that.
Yeah, I know, that's fine. Hereditary is also a movie I may have just been Hereditary is also a movie I watched it when it had come out, 2019, okay, somewhere around there. Yeah, so it was 4 years ago at this point. I watched it when it came out. I will never watch that movie again. I will never watch that movie again. It scared me. It scared the living shit out of me. So it's never gonna get moved. It may be a better movie. I don't know. I'm not gonna lie.
Coming from someone who watches horror all the time, I found Hereditary scary. That was a scary film, so I kind of get it.
Midsummer, in my opinion, is scary in a different way. It uses horror different, and that's what I think that's what I think you have to do when you make a movie predominantly during the day. Obviously, you're not going to scare someone with a bunch of jump scares. I don't know. I think Toni Collette crawling on the walls would be a lot less scary if the lights were on and everyone could see her and she's just up there "What's up, guys? How's everyone doing?" You can't do that during the day. So I think that's what the place Pearl does very well, but doesn't exceed to that upper echelon of movies like Midsummer does, in my opinion.
Yeah, I get that.